Well, hey folks, welcome back to another video. Thanks for joining me today. For all you pocket knife addicts, lovers of Spyderco, or people who are just interested in the colors and combinations that we got on a blade that's been around a really long time but has just gotten a full makeover, and that's the Spyderco Tenacious lightweight, now with s35vn steel. So really excited to see what this has going on, because I've been thinking about doing a revisit on this model and design in general. It's been around for quite a while for a lot of people. The Spyderco Tenacious and that whole family is a great jump into pocket knives. You know, that might have been one of your first pocket knives that you ever owned, and now you have a big collection. For some people, it's like the knife that you go to. Well, now it's got a total redo and a redux of not only way higher end blade steel than the 8CR13 MOV that it originally came with and still is available, but also with, I love the pattern of the lightweight handle scales that Spyderco does. Now you got that option. So let's go ahead, reminisce, see what this design can do and what are some competitive options, and even what are some other blades that are out there in similar pricing and similar blade steels, and whether or not the Tenacious can really stand the test of time. And is this just trying to put lipstick on a pig, or is this really a competitive blade to have at that about $100 price point that this goes for? All right, now how about this blade? Now first, just to the design itself, we have a full flat grind. There we go, trying to get the focus there. Satin blade. And I love full flats for EDC. They work so well, and this is no exception to that rule. Great belly all the way through there. You're going to get about a 3.3-inch overall cutting edge, good precise tip, and then you got a 90-degree spine. Goes back to about 1/8 of an inch right back here by the jimping and by the eye hole for deployment, and a very wide, broad leaf shape design. Now, some people would argue that maybe it's not the most elegant of designs, but I would argue it's one of the most functional blade shapes and designs that you can get on a pocket knife. So it's not only going to be capable with very simple tasks, say spreading peanut butter, and jam on a sandwich, or, preparing food, or doing every other type of task you can imagine that, you're going to run into with your daily living, cordage cutting, cardboard boxes that you're breaking down. Rubber and hoses. I mean, you're working in the backyard. Springtime is around the corner, and maybe you're fixing up the yard and the property and all that type of stuff. So the blade shape gives you just a perfect capability for just about every task that you can imagine you want to put a pocket knife into. So that is amazing, and still is very, very high performing, even though it's maybe not the most beautiful, elegant blade that you're going to put in your pocket. But now, how about that steel? S35vn, super cool to see that upgrade. I love S35vn. I have it on a bunch of knives from a lot of manufacturers. It is, I believe, an American-made steel, and it just performs, guys. I mean, I love it. It holds a very, very good edge. And I've even found that it's actually easier to put an edge back on than a lot of my S30V models. So you're getting better edge retention than S30V and similar steels, but it's not going to be a bear to put an edge back on. And this came with a very fine wicked edge out of the box, ready to rock and roll. That's what you're seeing. I believe that is a great upgrade, and that's a great steel choice, and that Spyderco decided to go with on this very iconic and classic design. Now, one of the things right out of the gate with the Tenacious design is that regardless if you are somebody who is right or left-handed, and regardless if you like things being tip up or tip down with your pocket clip, this knife gives you a ton of options and will basically hit every need that the user may have. Now, I like mine tip up. I just like pulling it out that way and having the pocket knife ready to deploy. But this has that tip up, tip down, and right or left. Now, it's going to come with that satin pocket clip there that rides really well. You are going to have a little bit of a higher ride, makes it easy to pull out. Deep ride pocket clips are always a preference for me, but it does make it easier to deploy, particularly for those of you who wear gloves a lot in maybe your job or just the environment that you live in, and it does make it for an easier pull with a good lanyard hole as well. And then that nice eye hole, I love it. I've never had an issue with it. You can get your nail in there and flick that sucker open without issue. I love that, and because it's just a hole, lefties are going to be able to do that too. Let's see how my ambidextrous Here it is. Yeah, see? Nice and easy. And then the liner lock is easily manipulated on either side as well. You can see that nice cut in right there. Easily disengages. We got a good center line. You know, liner lock is pretty basic now, and even in what we're about to look at with competitive options, there's a lot of other pivot locks and axis locks and you know, all kinds of different ways now that knives operate, and particularly around this price point, you can get a lot of different styles of locking mechanisms. So it's basic, it gets the job done, there's no complaints there. And then you do have those nice bronze bushings, you know, that make for a nice smooth deployment. Closes. This one has a good detent. It's not going to accidentally open up on you, so I like that. So in the sense of locking and, you know, deployment and different carry options, the Tenacious design is tried and true and gives a full coverage for the user. Now on to the lightweight handle scales. I love these scales in this pattern. I have it on all kinds of different Spydercos, and it just really connects with me. You have basically these little cubes that are going in all sorts of different directions that give you really good tactile feel, but never create any sort of hot spot for me. And that's going to cut down a little bit on the weight. That's helped with the steel liners that are flow through and have cutouts. So this do have cutouts, so it's a very nice lightweight package compared to a lot of other blades that are out there on the market, and it's going to be a little bit lighter weight than just the generic G10 model with HCR13 MOV. So that's real good. And with that polymer, what you're also going to get is just a real good feel overall in the hand from what I've experienced. Now, G10 is a little warmer to the touch. This is going to feel a little bit more synthetic, maybe like I'm holding a Nalgene versus holding something a little more tactile, a little denser. So that's something to consider. Sometimes people just really like the feel of G10. I get it. I don't mind these polymer handle scales, and I really like the pattern and, you know, just what they give you. Now you're going to get that real good thumb ramp that we know and love from Spyderco. Got a little bit of jimping right there, so you are locked in. It feels real comfortable, real good. So you're going to have a lot of push leverage when you're doing a push cut. You're not going to accidentally slide up. It actually keeps you really locked into place with that nice gradual cut in right here. Near where the blade transitions in. Now this does not have a finger choil. Now on most of my pocket knives, I would prefer not to have a finger choil if I have an option. For whatever reason, if the knife is big enough from Spyderco, like the Manix 2 lightweight, I don't mind the choil at all, but in this design, I'm actually glad there are no choils, and that's something I'd like to see more of in Spyderco designs, is less choils, more blade length, because we're getting over 3-inch blade cutting edge, and a lot of Spyderco knives don't offer that. They're going to have like 2.75, even though maybe the blade length is 3.5, because they like to throw a lot of finger choils on a lot of their blades. So for those of you who prefer non-finger choil pocket knives, you're going to be really happy with that. I wear large size gloves, and you know, it fills it out real good. I mean, there it is. Feels nice and contoured. No real issues there. The cut-in is a little, it's not deep, but there are, like I'll just use the Manix 2 and we'll run it in a little bit, where it's so wide here. If they maybe actually brought this in a little bit and just made it for your index finger and then giving you a little bit fuller feel on your middle finger, that is somewhere where I kind of tend to feel just a little bit of a gap right there when I'm cutting, is that your middle finger tends to float a little bit with my large size hands. Not at all a deal breaker, but it's just something kind of to note with the handle ergonomics. But overall, not only do I like the blue color, it's one of my favorite colors on pocket knives, and just what I'm even wearing today, but the pattern and going with the lightweight scale, I think, is a cool touch to add to that S35vn steel, which is a massive upgrade on the blade portion. All right, time for the rubber to meet the road on this Tenacious lightweight in S35vn and talk competitive options and pricing. And this is one of my most loved and most important, I believe, moments in any of the gear review videos that we do here, because it gives us really good food for thought. You and me, the consumer, what do I really need my knife to do, or product, my backpack, my tent, whatever it is that we're doing that day? and what else is out there on the market that maybe can do it better or very similar, and you know, is this the right tool? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, and that's what I want to do in this video. So I paid $98 for this over at GP Knives. I will have links for you guys over in the description box below, not only to GP Knives but also Blade HQ, Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and Amazon. They're all starting to get these in inventory, so check them out. If one is out of stock, you know, one of the other ones will probably have it, and we do appreciate it when you do purchase gear through the hyperlinks that we offer to you in the description box below. If a product is connecting with you and you're like, this is the tool that I need, regardless if it's this one, the Tenacious, or some of the competitive options I'm about to roll in for you right here, right now. So the first one is going to be one with s35vn, overseas produced, made in Taiwan, since we know this one, as we've alluded to earlier, is made in China. So for some people, they may be looking elsewhere to buy their products through, or maybe that's not as big a deal to you. So this one is made in Taiwan, and we are talking about the Cold Steel Recon 1 in s35vn. Gonna run you about $100 to $120, just depends on who, what, when, where, why. So basically, we'll argue about the same price. Same steel, much larger, much thicker blade, full G10 handle, a much more robust triad locking mechanism, definitely more of a duty, tactical, you know, self-defense role, heavy-duty utility role that the Recon has. But I mean, you're getting a lot of knife there for about $100 to $110, $20, depending on where you pick it up. And so that's something to consider, you know, and I know Cold Steel's gone through some transitions with ownership, so we'll see long-term if the quality holds up, but as of right now, I'm seeing that they're still doing the Recon 1 with the s35vn, and I believe they're going to continue to do that. Now, for some of you may be like, I don't care where it's made as long as it's made in America. Well, I get that, and so what came to my mind was the Gerber Cedula, made right here in the USA with S30V steel, and this thing's going to go for about $100 to $105, depends on if you want the satin or the blacked out coated version like you see right here. You're going to get about the same amount of cutting edge, full flat grind, little thicker, so the Tenacious is definitely going to be a better slicer, and S35vn will outperform S30V, though S30V is nothing to balk at. But you get a really cool pivot locking mechanism, very similar to an Axis lock. You can see right there, whip it open, close. It's a fully ambidextrous blade, Zytel handle scales with steel liner locks, loop over, completely ambidextrous setup, and those are only available through the Gerber website. They're not selling those through any distributors except through their personal website, so those will be for you below. But $100, you can get, you know, a very similar knife with a lot of even upgraded features that you won't get on the basic, you know, polymer and then liner lock setup on the Tenacious. And who doesn't like a good dog pile? I'll just throw in the Manix 2 Lightweight that I recently purchased in CPM Spy 27 steel. It's kind of comparable to S30V from what I'm seeing and what Spyderco says. And that's, you know, in my opinion, the best pocket knife on the market is this design for meeting a lot of different capabilities. And it's a very good crossover blade. About $140, you're going to get another, you know, kind of pivot, ball bearing style locking mechanism, finger choil, my favorite pocket clip design, wire pocket clip, very lightweight, great blade, but not quite as high in edge retention as the S35vn on the Tenacious. So for $40 more, you can get an American-made, really cool features, but maybe it's just, I want high edge retention, I love the Tenacious design, and you know, you are wanting to kind of stay right around $100 or less, then the Tenacious is definitely competitive with a lot of other stuff that's on the market, but there's a lot of stuff gunning for it that is right around that same price. Looking forward to hearing your guys' thoughts on what you think on the overall design and the upgrade. Was it needed? Are you going after it? Are you gonna pass and go with some of the other designs that we looked at today? Always love hearing your guys' thoughts. I encourage you to check out the other video popping up, to subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber. We're throwing up content like this all the time here at the channel. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.